Technology is very important to enable a circular economy. Circular economy means that you have no waste, more or less. You recycle, reuse, reproduce materials and resources already existing in society. And you can't do that without new technology. And as just an example, one of the innovation projects we did in IKEA was to look at the future of retail and future of production. So imagine you're at home, you sort of have a need for a chair or a table for your kitchen. You go into internet, you look up something, you find it, perhaps it's IKEA, you find a table and you find the chairs to it. You license to use and produce that product. You download the production files from the company, from IKEA in this case. You go to your local workshop where they produce the table and the chairs for you. They bring it home to you. You lease it from them. The workshop owns the material all the time. You lease the sort of functionality of the table and the chairs. You use it for a year, a couple of months, or many, many years. When you're done, you hand it back to the production shop and you stop the leasing to IKEA. The workshop then can reproduce new products with the material that you handed back to them. So this was the theory that we started to think about. How can the future of retail look like and what is necessary for it to become a reality? And we started to work with many other companies, big tech companies, their AI divisions and robotics division, and set up tests on how can you do this local workshops? Because we had the design, we had the product, so what was missing is these local production workshops. We started with 3D printing, we started with generative design, collaborative robotics, AI, to not sort of program the robots, but it's actually they learned as over time, so that we could sort of implement it in scale. So we looked at, took London as an example. Let's say if we set up 300 of these workshops, so you're never further away than sort of 500 meters from a workshop that could do this, produce for you. And that cannot be done without sort of new technology and new developments within technology to enable the circular economy. In this case, we want to create that sort of local circularity, reusing material, recycling material, reproducing it for customers, but also introducing a totally new business model on retailing. In this case, we worked with Google and X, their innovation factory. We worked with DeepMind in London. We worked with all of these companies. We did the tests and trials. We had the collaborative robotics. You have two arms learning from each other, not programmed, assembling IKEA furniture, and we came that far. Circularity is, though, a bigger thing than just what you do within your own company. I think it requires some big infrastructure changes in any country, any city, from a recycling point of view, and how you sort of set up not only the digital infrastructure, but also the physical infrastructure for taking back materials, recycling, reusing, reproducing, repairing, refurbishing, all of that. But I think internally you can definitely work with looking at your waste streams. How can you utilize them into becoming resources more than just throwing them away? Small example again, what we did in IKEA Food. So the food part of IKEA is quite big. It's one of the 10 biggest restaurant chains in the world. And we had food waste, we had organic waste from the flour part of the store and so on. We started to experiment with that. So it costed us money for the food waste to be taken away. So we started to experiment with small biogas plants at the IKEA store, sort of composting technologies that we could use for a store, which you can do in smaller scale and bigger scale when you work with your waste. At the same time, we started to look at vertical farming and how we could produce salads and greens and herbs at the store for the restaurant and for the customers, which went quite well. So we started to produce our salads ourselves instead of transporting them many, many, many miles. fresh salad produced locally. So we cover that 40-foot container, vertical farming equipment. We covered every need we had in the IKEA restaurant, in the co-worker restaurant, and also in the Swedish food market. So we could start to sell salad. When we put it together then, we started to sort of see a circular system that we could work with around the store. Took the organic waste into the biogas plant, which then produced energy back into the store, but also energy into the vertical farm. We could produce a liquid fertilizer that we then used in the vertical farm. Could also be a product that we sold to customers. And then we produced salads and greens into the restaurant, serving customers again. And suddenly we didn't have any organic waste anymore. We just created that sort of circular system close to the store where we used waste as a resource and created new types of products and materials that could be used in the store or sold to the customers. If you look at longevity, it's mostly about material choices. It's about how you design your product. Is it disassemble? Could you reuse the parts of the products or the materials or the components? Technologies, I think, could be very useful in tracking the materials and the products over time so that you have access to it. I think new types of business models like leasing, renting, sharing, with the right tracking technologies could help a lot in not only keeping track of the materials, but also get them back in the right way. And in the disassembly phase of the product, see what part, what component goes where. And there's a lot of development in that. I mean, for instance, in textiles, you can now integrate sort of RFID tracking system as a thread into your textile. So you don't have to just sew it in, and then you can track it, you can use it, you know where it is, you know what type of product it is, what type of material you have there. So I think it can help a lot in identifying and tracking the material and products going forward. AI is great, I think. And it will help us a lot. Again, rightly applied. I have a friend, if I can take that example, he's starting up a business in the fashion industry, a new retail business model. So he will gather clothes and products from brands, only clothes with regenerative material in them. He then sets up a digital retail environment, so you can go in there, you see them, you buy them from him. He has tracking equipment into the clothes. He will use AI. You buy your shirt or your trousers, and then after a while you want to buy more, or you want another set of clothes. So when you go to his website again and say, oh, now I want these shoes and I want these trousers and I want that, automatically it will pop up and say, hey, you bought these 3 articles or 5 articles 2 months ago. Do you want to hand them back? They have the value X, Y, Z. So if you purchase this, and then so you get a deduction of what you buy now. And then it's, even if you buy or you lease or whatever you do, you will only be in a circle with him or his company all the time. So you use your clothes when you use it. You don't need to hang them in your wardrobe because they make no sense there, because they're worth money. Suddenly they are monetized. You send them back to him and he sells it again to someone else. And then you buy new ones, you use them, you send them back, and then you get sort of a totally new way of relating to your clothes. And he's using AI to both understand how often you use the clothes. And if you haven't used it for 2 weeks or a month or 2 months, you will get a message saying, hey, I see you haven't used this jacket for 2 months. Do you want to send it back and get some money, or do you want to buy new shoes or whatever? So in that way, AI will help to make it more efficient with the products that we have. Not having them in the wardrobe. I'm sure everyone has clothes in their wardrobes hanging there. No one is using them. It's useless, instead of being utilized and used in society by many, many others. So by this type of system, I think we can start to utilize products in a much higher percentage than what we do today, and thereby also using less resources in producing new products. So there I think AI is a good tool to be used.